Alright guys, here's the last video, so let's go ahead and check this out. So does the slope of the staircase change as you climb each step? So remember, the slope is the amount of change of going up and the amount of change going over. So hopefully you realize no, it does not. The slope stays the same. And that's really good. My slope stays the same. Because imagine climbing upstairs where that would not be the case. So for instance, let's say you go upstairs and then over really far and then up a lot and then over a little and then up a little and then over a lot. Imagine having stairs that look like this. It wouldn't be too fun walking up and down, easy to trip, so on and so forth. Especially going down these stairs, it wouldn't be easy, wouldn't be fun. Luckily, these stairs are always going up at the same time. Now, number 12. Suppose you want to make a skateboard ramp that is not as steep as this one is shown. So write down two different slopes you could use. So looking at this, it looks pretty steep, and so if you're going off this ramp, you're scared you might fall. And so I want to make this ramp a little less steep. Now, there's a few things we can do, but what I want to get you guys to realize is I'm doing a visual representation of what I want to do. So if I make it go up higher, it looks a lot steeper. So what I want to do, if this is 3 feet, I want to make it a little lower so it's a little less spooky jumping off. So what did I just affect there? Did I affect the length or did I affect the height? Hopefully you notice I affected the height. So if my original slope, looking at this one, was, remember, it's always rise over run. So how much did I go up and how much did I go over? I went up 3 and over 5. And what I want to do is make a less spooky ramp by lowering it. So I want to shrink it. So we could come up with 2. Well, if I lowered it to, I only went up 2 feet and over 5. I'm sorry, this should not have an equal sign. So this would be less steep, or you can even go less steeper. It says 1 over 5. So that would be if I was even lower. So if it looks something like that. Okay. Let's say you didn't look at it that way. Let's say you looked at it as if, let's go ahead and get this back up to 3 feet. What I also could do is I could extend the length of the ramp. So if I do that, so as you can see, if I shorten it, it's really steep. But if I lengthen it, as I'm lengthening it, it's making it less and less steeper. So I'm making the run longer. So let's say we kept the rise the same. I could make the run higher. Or I can make it really high. So we can make it like, I don't know, 16, something like that. That would be much higher for the lower slope. What I want you to notice, if this is my original 3 over 5, 2/5, 1/5, 3/6, and 3/16, they are all smaller values than 3/5. They are lower values than 3/5. So remember, if you want to make something less steep, you come up with a fraction that has a lower value. So I would like you to try this one on your own and then pause it. So you'd pause it right here, solve it, and then check your answer. Okay, so you guys should have solved it already. So all I'm showing is I am going from this point, so I rose 6 and went over a mystery amount. I'm not quite sure how much I went over, but I know the slope is 3 over 2. So remember, that's the rate of a change. That's how much I go up and how much I go over. So it's my rise over run ratio. So my rise over run ratio, if I grab, let's go ahead and grab this one. And let's go ahead and do light blue. So if I rose 3 and then I went over 2, not really all the way up there. So if I went again though and I rose 3 more and then went over an additional 2, I want you to realize I just rose 3 over 2, rose 3 over 2. And that is how much I went up by. So let's go ahead and let me restate that. I went over 6. I wasn't really sure how much I went over. So I just did my slope of going up 3, over 2, up 3. And I want you to see that the vertical distance, which is this, I went up a total of 6 spots, which means all I do, I'm going to highlight it, is count how much I went over, which is just this 2 plus 2, which is 4. So the x value is equal to 4. Another way we can do this is we can set these ratios equivalent to each other. We'll look at this method a little bit more next lesson, but I want you to realize all ratios are equivalent in slope. So if I have 3 over 2, and I set that equal to, just really quickly, let me take a step back. If I set the ratio of rise over run, and I went up 3 and over 2, that ratio is going to be equivalent to if I went up 6 and over a mystery amount. From here, this is just a proportion problem where we cross multiply to get 3x equals to 12. And we're going to divide both sides by 3 to get x equals 4. All right. My goal for you guys is that you understand this method right here. If you didn't quite understand the proportion part, that's okay. That's just for foreshadow for next lesson. And now my final one is find the slope of the water slide. Calculate it in 2 different ways. So here's a pretty little water slide. I drew a little triangle next to it. I want you guys to realize that I have 125 is the big triangle. And I'm going to highlight the small triangle in the yellow. And this is 50 and 12.5 up. So it says find the slope of the water slide, calculate it in 2 different ways. Well, remember, it's just rise over run. So let's look at the big one. I went up, I had a vertical distance of 25 all over 100. If I were to simplify the numerator and denominator by 25, that would give me 1 over 4. This is my rise over run. This is my slope. I just calculated it one way. Now remember, this is your rate of change. That's another way to say it, which is different from unit rate. We want to get in the habit of knowing the difference. Remember, unit rate goes up by 1, or slope / rate of change doesn't necessarily need to. So now in light green, I'm going to look at the smaller triangle with these numbers right here. That would be, same idea, my rise over run. And I went up 12.5 all over 50. And if I were to simplify these both by 12.5, that would give me 1 all over 4, which is the slope. So remember, it's just the rate of change. And it's that proportion of how much I'm going up and over. Okay? And you can see also a third separate way. So we'll do it in purple. The change from 12.5 to 25 is 12.5. So that's how much I went up on my y value. I went up 12.5. And how much I went from 50 for this length right here to 100, which is my larger value, I went up by 50. So the math looks the same as the green, but I just solved it. I looked at it from a different perspective. So that's your lesson, guys. If you have any questions, please email me once again at dustin.jenkins@sduhsd.net. Right now, unless I left different instructions, I want you to work on your homework, which is just 2.2a. So you can go ahead and take that out and begin working on it. Have a great weekend, guys, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.